What are some good photography tips for beginners? So, if you're getting into photography, this is going to be the video for you. It will help you get started. It'll give you loads of tips that I think would help you on your journey. So, I've got a number of different videos on this channel to help you if you're into photography. I talk about taking photos, also the natural progression from photography into videography, because you're going to naturally start making videos once you get loads of photos you want to be able to share. Actually, it'll be a lot more dynamic with actual video. So if I start by saying that beginning photography, the first step is use what you already have. So I had a mobile phone that I used a lot. I used that for a lot of photography. I upgraded phones, and these days you can upgrade phones quite frequently, every 2 years or year even if you wanted to. Cameras are getting even better and better. So I kept my old camera, my old phone even, and I kept using that phone just for photography. So I basically had two phones at one point. One was the main phone that I used. And what you will find is if you're taking photos with a smartphone, the battery life is challenging. You can get a different battery bank that helps you along your journey. But that was basically where I started. And then from that, because I liked it so much, I wanted to be able to take photos for other people. So if you're going to rock up at someone's place and take photos with your phone, you won't look as good as you would if you had your own dedicated camera. So that's the main consideration. You want to get a phone. Well, you want to get a camera when you get to the point that you think, actually, you know what? I'm taking this a bit seriously. I want to be able to show that I have got what it takes. And also, a lot more options are available when you buy a dedicated camera. So what you were doing previously with a mobile phone, you can up your game with a DSLR, for example, a bridge camera. Any type of camera that's dedicated solely for photography will help you get better pictures than a mobile phone. So that's something to think about. Only progress when you need to progress. See where your challenges are, where your limits are with your current setup, and then buy something. When you come to buy something, do a lot of research. So come online, look at Amazon reviews, look at eBay reviews, look at blogs. Reddit's a great example. They have loads of communities there where they give you options for new cameras. So you will automatically see that you take certain types of photos. Maybe you like to do product photography, maybe you like to do landscape photography. So all these things will help you pick the right camera. So have a look at the options there. Don't worry about buying the latest and greatest camera and lens. That's something that can be a big tip, I think, because a lot of people that start in photography will end up just buying something really great and current. If you've got the budget, that's fine. But what I found was I picked up an old Canon DSLR camera. I bought it secondhand actually. It's this camera that's actually filming me right now, the 550D. Actually, no, it was a second camera. I had a 500D before this, which I sold because I moved on to the Canon 550D. My 500D was perfectly fine. I got a mixture of lenses with it. Don't get stuck on gear. That's another tip there. Don't worry about getting the latest and greatest gear. Think about this. When you were shooting with if you were shooting with your mobile phone before your current setup, then you would have noticed, actually, my photos weren't as sharp. They were blurry. There wasn't as much room for me to play about with the photo once I took it. It was taken as a JPEG. So when you took the photo, you would find that actually, you know what? I want to be able to go in and change the settings in the photo. I want it to be brighter. I want it to be darker. I noticed that that building in the background wasn't as detailed as I could have been. So if you are shooting with a camera that offers you raw capabilities, that gives you additional options to kind of widen your scope. Naturally, when you get cameras, you're going to look at different upgrades. I think the main thing you want to do is, well, it's probably halfway into the video now, but I'm giving you this option. You want to get a camera, you want to get a lens. Get a lens with a wide focal length. What I mean by that is something with, like, say, 24 to 70 millimeters. So you've got a nice position there that you can look between. If you definitely know you need a macro lens or something for product photography, then that's going to be a natural thing you buy. But if you start with a lens that you've got lots of options for zooming, you will actually find yourself zooming in, taking lots of photos. When you get to a certain point and you've got a backlog of photos that you've taken, you can look at those photos in something like Lightroom or editing program, and you'll see where your majority of photos are. So you'll see, oh, actually I shoot at 70 millimeters most of the time, so I don't actually shoot wide. I like to focus in on things. So that will help you determine what your next option will be. I always had one lens to start off with. Then I got a lower aperture lens, which let me get better photos in low light because of the requirements I needed for my lens and photos. A lot of low light photography because it was event photography, like a show, fashion photography. So I bought a 50 millimeter 1.8 lens. I had two lenses for a long time. Then I found that actually, you know what, I need to be able to get zooming in because the models are walking down a catwalk. So then I bought a telephoto lens. That telephoto lens I still have now 10 years later. So if you buy good and buy once, you will end up keeping that item for a longer time. It's a 70 to 200 2.8 Canon lens that I use a lot. So that's something you can look at and think about. Tips for beginning. You're probably going to be early in the journey. So don't spend lots of money on your gear straight away. You don't know if it's going to take you in a certain direction. Is it a hobby? Are you looking to take it up for professionally? All these things need to come into your mind. One thing I would suggest is if you got a lens and a camera body, the next thing that would be good to pick up is a flash. And the reason for flash is light is your friend in photography. Right now I'm being lit by 3 lights. So lights, the more lights you have, the better it feels. Take away one light and you'll see things start looking different. So that's where you want to play with the light and see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Do you want a moody atmosphere? Does the photo need to be a high light photo so all the details show, so it's more contemporary and clean? All these things will help you as a beginner photographer learn from as many sources as you can. Online on YouTube, there's loads of videos. Everybody gives their own opinion. So have a look at various amounts of channels and pick up tips from each that fit your need. Find the best personality as well, because what you'll see is online there's loads of people talking about photography, but you might not like the way some people talk about it, how they present it. So you might look at another channel because you relate more to that person. So that's something to keep an eye on. You can listen to loads of podcasts. There's loads of podcasts designed around photography. There's a great community on Reddit for photographers, so you can actually share ideas, find out what works, what doesn't work, and see what happens. But the main thing is the more photos you take, the better you will become. So I think a good thing to look at is self-diagnose your photos. So when you're looking at your photos, look at it and think, oh, I like that photo. But then think, why is it that photo looks good to you? Why do you like that photo? What can you improve in it for next time? What can you keep that you liked in that photo for your next photo? So it's kind of a self-learning exercise. You will find the more photos you take, the better you will become. Challenging things can be being able to take photos of things you like. So that's where social media comes into play. Make sure you're taking part in online quizzes. There's loads of things online where you can actually have photos, and you can take challenges where you deliver a certain amount of photos based on a requirement, which gets you out of your comfort zone, and see where you want to take your photography, because you might end up thinking, oh, you know what, photography is something that I'm interested in, but more for social element of it, so keeping a track of my family photos and that kind of thing. So in that sense, you've got more freedom. You can take photos how you want to take your photos and how you like them. If you're taking them for people or clients, then you've got to have a specific goal in mind, and you have a standard of photo that you need to provide. You'll be told what to include in the photo, what not to include in the photo, the dimensions, all those things. Well, that's getting more technical. But once you get your ability up and you get better at taking photos, you will automatically find it second nature. It's like anything in life. The more time you spend doing something, you progress. So give yourself a chance. Don't worry and don't pressurize yourself. Just take photos, enjoy the moment, find out what works, what doesn't work, and see which direction you want to go. You'll naturally be a visual type of person if you enjoy taking photos anyway. So you can kind of look at different options online and see what works, what doesn't work. So I'm hoping this is helpful as part of this series. This is more of like an insight into photography, and I'll put this into a playlist that you can probably check out and link between tips around photography, because I know people like to hear more about photography as opposed to always having gear videos and things. So let me know how you found this, and I'll be interested to get your feedback in the comments. So let me know how things are going. See you on the next one.